Hello, everybody. Obviously, there's an election that's going on. That's a big story, but COVID is also around, and so I'm going to get to that first. Um, as of October 30th, Poland went from 95,000. Sorry, Poland went from 95,000 total cases to 362,000 cases just in the month of October. Belgium spiked very hard. Their highest before October was only 1,700 cases. And on October 30th, it was 23,900. So I'm just saying Europe and America is getting hit very, very hard by coronavirus, along with South America is getting hit pretty hard, but I think the main hotspots right now are Europe and America. Let's see. Belgium announced a national lockdown. The Prime Minister of Belgium called it a quote, last chance to keep the healthcare system from collapsing. The U.S. reported over 101,000 cases on October 31st, which is a crazy number in one day. Illinois hit 10,000 deaths on the 31st. Italy reported 31,000 cases. France is getting hit hard. They hit a new record recently with 49,000 cases in a day. France also jumped past 1 million cases on October 31st and is now the fifth highest hit COVID country, at least at that time. France reimposed a national lockdown. Spain had a protest against the latest lockdown measures that I think they feel are just getting tired of it, it seems like. Sadly, it did turn violent, and demonstrators clashed with police on the scene. 12 people were arrested and 24 people were injured, 20 of them being police officers. So I hope the situation got better from there. Demonstrators hurled stones and burned street furniture, which I think is just horrible. Also on the 31st, this was when I was checking everything thoroughly, the UK passed 1 million cases as well. They reported, Germany sharply increased their restrictions for COVID. The world reported 573,000 cases on the 31st, 7,500 deaths. On November 1st, the world passed 1.2 million the 1.2 million deaths worldwide. Biden says that Trump waved the white flag to COVID-19. The first cases of people having COVID and the flu are being reported. Experts say that if COVID cases are high in flu season, the country could face a twindemic, meaning that the flu and COVID will be rampant, and there's a chance that people can get both. So it's going to be a very hard time for Americans and people around the world. Regeneron said it would stop enrolling seriously ill coronavirus patients in its antibody trials. A study found about 20% of Boston grocery store workers had COVID-19. Most of them were asymptomatic, meaning they didn't know they had it. Biden event in Texas was canceled after armed Trump supporters threatened a campaign bus. It was a really crazy scene. If you see the video, I would recommend looking it up. The Trump supporters are just really insane. I don't know how that was allowed, but it was a pretty scary sight where the Biden bus was going on a highway and there were Trump, he likes to say the word caravan, but it was his own people. Trump supporters that had the trucks with the flags that were following him. I think they said that they were armed. Was that right? Yeah. They were blocking, caravans of Trump supporters blocked New Jersey roads and a New York bridge shortly before the election. An earthquake in Turkey that happened. I think I reported in the last video. The death toll that at least that I know of right now is at 38 people, and rescuers are still searching for victims. The rescuers have saved about 100 people from the demolished buildings following the earthquake, and prayers to the families and people dealing with that in Turkey, and also great appreciation to the rescuers who are going out there and risking their own lives, and their commitment to making sure that they can save as many people that they can. Dunkin's Donuts was sold to Inspire Brands for $11.3 billion. Inspire Brands owns Arby's and Buffalo Wild Wings. Also on the 31st, Trump had a 60 Minutes interview, which he completely bombed. It made headlines, and the funny thing is that Trump, was trying to get people to be on his side about it. So he was telling everybody to watch the interview. So the ratings were like sky high, and it makes him look bad. So I don't know why he did that, but that was the case. It was so bad he left the interview before it was supposed to be finished. He also harassed the interviewer, Leslie, and in the beginning of the interview, literally the first thing which she was said, are you prepared to handle tough questions? That's what she said. And he said no. It's like, you're president of the United States and you can't handle tough questions? That's pathetic. He also bragged about having his biggest rallies ever during the worst part of the pandemic. Biden, Harris, and Pence were also interviewed, and they had fine interviews. Dr. Fauci and Dr. Birx spoke out shortly before the election. The Texas court denied Republicans' bid to block Election Day drive-through voting in Harris County, which is a Democrat county and is the one that's the size of Rhode Island. I think if it was a state, it would be like the 25th largest state, I think. So that's pretty crazy. Let's see. Pennsylvania, their state Supreme Court has done a lot to protect the voting count there. The U.S. officially exited the Paris Climate Accord as of today. That pisses me off a lot, to be honest. And we are the only country, I think it said, the only country in the world that is not in this accord now. It is, if you don't know the Paris Climate Accord, it's basically an agreement by all the countries in the world to try and work together and get their emissions down to the point where we can roll out, fossil fuels and all of that at one point and try to switch to renewable energy, because climate change is a huge problem and there's not that much time to fix it. So that commitment by all the countries is a huge step towards getting things done. And the U.S. pulling out of that, it doesn't show us as a leader for sure, but it's I'd say a bad sign for our country, because we don't have the consistency of all the other countries, and it's just bad all the way around, and it just makes it that much harder to make sure that we're being committed on working on climate change, especially with President Trump in office. More than 90 million Americans cast general election ballots. That number was, I think, as of the 31st of October. Just to let you know, 138 million was the amount of people that voted in the 2016 election. So that number of 90 was good. November 1st, it went up to 93. And as of November 3rd, they counted the pre-election count to be over 100 million votes, which is really amazing. That is in person and mail-in. So that was good. I think they said the total could have been as high as 102 million, so that's a really high number. But the 100 million is 73% of the 2016 vote. USPS was ordered to sweep some facilities of election mail by 3 p.m. Trump claimed victory on election night. Election night, if you've been living under a rock, you wouldn't know, but I'm sure every American and most of the people around the world are following this election closely and know that on day 3 of the election, we're still waiting on the results. This election has been a lot closer than people thought. A lot of people in the polls, I think, were saying that it was going to be a huge blue wave. We would easily win the Senate. We were going to win a lot of swing states, and it was going to be a clear election. It hasn't been the case. That's been the most frustrating thing to me, is if Trump wins, I don't want to live here anymore, because I've lost all faith in this country if Trump wins, obviously. But if Biden wins and it's close, it still makes me really nervous about this country, that almost half the country decided to vote for Trump still, after he shanked coronavirus and shanked basically everything. So that's not a good sign, but they're still counting votes. The main states that are up for grabs currently are Pennsylvania and Georgia. As of right now, Alaska, I think it's been about like 50% of the vote, but Trump's winning that one handily, so that's obviously going to go to Trump. So the swing states right now are Arizona and Nevada. Nevada, Trump is narrowly losing, but he's been gaining on Biden. He's been gaining on Biden on Arizona. Arizona was very clearly Biden, but now it is. Trump is rounding the corner with that, and Arizona is becoming close, very close. And let's see. North Carolina, they're still counting the vote. It looks like Trump is more likely to win North Carolina. But the main two are Georgia and Pennsylvania. Joe Biden flipped Michigan and Wisconsin, very crucial states that he needed to win. Well, not needed, but it's now the electoral count right now is 253 to 214, I think. 214 maybe. Or no. I think it's 253 to 213 in favor of Biden. So he is losing to Trump in Georgia and Pennsylvania, but he has been gaining very heavily, and most, if not all, of the remaining votes in Georgia and Pennsylvania are mail-in. So that heavily leans Democratic. Heavily leans to the Democrats. So it's very interesting. I've been anxiously waiting, like so many Americans and people around the world. It's very nerve-wracking, but what you need to know is let's see. If Biden wins Pennsylvania, it's over. Biden wins. If he wins Georgia, I think he's one electoral vote off. So if Biden wins Pennsylvania, he'll be at 269. He'll just have to win one of them, one of the remaining states left. So let's see. Trump supporters came near a polling station in Arizona last night. They probably are going to come back today. They are doing conflicting chants like stop the vote, count the vote, so the polling station in Arizona had to add security to it. Some protesters were armed, although they seemed more peaceful. Some protesters did seem to have weapons. Only 3 campaigns, these are pretty interesting statistics as well. Only 3 campaigns were able to beat an incumbent before Trump. Over 150 million Americans have voted during a pandemic. People were probably worried that during the pandemic might cause some people not to vote, but it has actually been the opposite. People know how dire this election is. I think the current numbers right now, where Biden was winning, I think Hillary won in 2016 like about 2.5 million more votes, but Biden is up in the popular vote right now by 3.5 million. I think he's at like 71 million, I think, right now, and I'm pretty sure Trump's at like 68 million. So the numbers are very high, and there's still votes to be counted. So that's another thing. It's just the most to vote in an election ever. So that's encouraging. That was the most encouraging thing I've seen out of the election. But we're just going to have to wait, and we're going to have to see what happens with this election. We can't call it yet. I'm really hoping that the election gets called today, because I want to know, and I'm sick and tired of waiting. But it may be tomorrow where they can call it, but we'll see. Maybe today, and if not today, they better be able to call it by tomorrow. So yeah, that was the video. If you guys enjoyed, please like and subscribe. if you'd like to see more videos of me covering politics. And just stay calm. I know it's kind of ironic because I have a hard time staying calm with this, but I think the best thing is to stay calm, check fairly frequently, but don't get like too involved in it. So try and do other things, but check back pretty frequently on the electoral map. And yeah, hopefully Biden comes out on top. Have a good rest of your day.